Awesome. Right. So we'll give it another moment as people join. Terrific. Okay, well, in the interest of time, we are going to go ahead and begin the session tonight. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. This session is brought to you by the Graduate Admission Office, and we will be discussing the benefits of an advanced degree in business. So many of you are considering a advanced degree, considering graduate school, but not sure if business is the appropriate route. And tonight we're hoping to explain a little bit about the opportunities that you'll have available and specifically what that type of degree means at Providence College. So tonight's agenda will give a brief welcome and tell you about some of the different people who are involved within our graduate admission office, plus then also within our School of Business. And then we will get into some of the benefits of a graduate business degree in general. So some different things to consider, things that you'll want to be aware of, and you know, both benefits and also some things that you'll really want to do some research about and understand which degree pathway is going to be best for you and your career aspirations. And then we will also go into an overview of the business graduate programs at Providence College. And specifically what types of degree programs we offer, but then also to the opportunities that you'll have within each. And then finally, we will touch upon different deadlines and the next steps that you can take within your application process, within your consideration for all of your different graduate school programs. So with that, tonight, certainly, it's myself, Diana Jingles. I'm Director of Graduate Admission, and I'll turn it over to my colleague, Daniela.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniela Volkovinsky, and I'm Assistant Director of Graduate Admission. My email is listed there. And then, unfortunately, our colleague, Julia Rumsey, she couldn't be here tonight. And she works specifically in the School of Business. She's Assistant Director for Graduate Student Services and Admission and in the business school. So her email is there, and so she's a really great person to contact as well for any details specifically pertaining to courses and curriculum and schedule and things like that.
And many of you will be familiar with Julia. Certainly, if you move through the application process, Julia works with students directly within our Graduate School of Business once they are admitted and they are part of the program. So again, we're happy to have you here this evening. We're glad that you're sharing this night in September with us, and we're hoping to get into some details. We will also address questions at the end, and throughout the session, by all means, please feel free to add questions into the Q&A, and in that Q&A function, we'll answer those questions either throughout the session as we're talking, or we will save some of those questions for the very end, and you'll be able to ask those questions or more questions that come up as well at the very end. So by all means, please feel free to use that Q&A function.
Okay, so I'll start with a few of the benefits. So specifically talking about career advancement and kind of what that means for business. So first of all, there's going to be skills that I think a graduate degree in particular will help you develop. I think undergrad degree, you're still kind of trying to figure out what you're doing. You might take some general classes and things like that, where I think in grad school, you really have the opportunity to develop strategic thinking skills, leadership skills, complex problem solving, and things like that. We'll talk a little bit more about how PC specifically helps you do that. We'll get into some of the consulting projects and things like that. But I think that's specifically a grad school skill that you develop a lot more than you maybe would in undergrad. Um, and employers obviously really value these skills. I will highlight as well that Providence College is an AACSB accredited business program, and all of our programs are AACSB accredited in the business school, which means that they go through some really rigorous testing, whether it's the courses themselves, the curriculum, the faculty. AACSB accredited institutions kind of have some additional things that they have to make sure they're really falling in line with that AACSB accreditation. So that's really important. And specifically, PC is very ethics grounded. And so that's something that if you are looking to be an ethical leader and kind of bring some of those ethics into the business world, I think PC does a really great job with that. Obviously, this is a big one as well, but earning potential. So when we see over and over again that MBA holders can see a boost in salary from 22% to 50%. And then one study even showed that you can kind of get a boost from anywhere from 80K to 120K. Obviously, this has a lot to do with what industry you're in and how long you've been in that industry, and all of those things are part of that too. But you definitely get a strong return on investment with a business graduate degree. And that's just something we see over and over again in the research.
Exactly. And before you switch to the next slide, I think one of the important things, as Daniela mentioned, Providence College offers that AACSB accreditation. That applies not only to our undergraduate, but also our graduate programs. And with that specific accreditation, employers recognize this accreditation. It's an internationally recognized accreditation, and it is only a small percentage of business schools that offer this AACSB accreditation. So it's a gold standard in a lot of cases, and with that, when students are considering a graduate degree in business in general, having that standard, and you'll know that your courses are rigorous. They are meant to be taught at a certain level, and there are very specific standards that both our students and faculty are meeting within those courses. Beyond that too, a lot of students, when they are considering whether or not to go about a graduate degree, obviously, that earning potential, that ROI, that really stands out. We showed you some statistics overall and what that means for a graduate business degree generally, but more specifically at PC, we are seeing our students who are graduating, who are receiving median salaries, over their past 3 years, and seeing that growth in their earning potential. So within that, I think it's really important to keep those details in mind. And you can find all of this information specific to PC directly on our institutional effectiveness site. But one of the things too, in thinking about your graduate business career and what that's going to mean for you, not only as a young professional, but maybe you are switching industries, or maybe you are looking to elevate your existing career. These are all really important pieces to think about. Think about your earning potential, and then also to the investment that you're making, not only in whatever tuition you might be paying, but also the time that you're spending within that degree, and looking at how your trajectory will move forward. I think it's a really important piece to consider when you are looking at all of the different reasons whether or not to pursue that graduate business degree. Awesome.
Okay. I'll talk a little bit about the professional network. In grad school, you really have the chance to connect with a lot of different groups of people that will hopefully down the line help you get a job or help you make a connection or something like that. So PC does really well with that. We have a really extensive alumni network. Um, and especially even with high caliber alumni that are currently in high leadership roles within different companies. And so PC really tries to bring those people in, whether that's through, info sessions or consulting projects, or I know the business school also does like career fairs and things like that. So we're always, always, always trying to connect you guys with people who we think will help you kind of get your foot in the door or help you with a recommendation or something like that. So, grad school really gives you more opportunities to do that. Where with undergrad, yes, you have that, but you almost kind of have to seek it out a little bit more. I think in grad school, those opportunities are presented to you a lot more readily, which is great. And of course, these connections are very influential for job placement, job satisfaction, things like that. And then also the opportunity to specialize. So companies are increasingly looking for specialized skill sets. Here, I want to specifically highlight our Master in Science in Business Analytics and our online Master of Science in Sports Administration. So we'll go a little bit deeper into this in the program overview, but the business analytics degree, like it sounds, goes a lot into analytics and data and Python and all of these things that are very specialized, and companies really need that data right now. And then the sports administration, it's brand new for us. It's a new degree program. It's fully online. And it's specifically going into the sports industry. And there's so much that falls into that umbrella. There's, marketing and guest services and all kinds of different things there. So those are two very specialized degree offerings that we hire. And also, even if you go into like something like an MBA, it just again gives you a chance to level up those specialized skills within our MBA program as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you'll hear this extensively from different students at PC who've been part of our graduate programs, whether they have continued on from their undergraduate to their graduate program directly, or they have, or you have some folks within our graduate programs who are currently employed and looking to elevate their career. They have time and time again noted the network and the helpful individuals, not only faculty members, but then also the network of different consultants, different employers who network with our School of Business, and then different alumni who are consistently reaching back out to the college and mentoring different students. One of the other things that's also very helpful to any student within our graduate business programs, they have access to our career education office. So Susan Riley, which you'll hear more from her at different points throughout your admission process, but throughout a student's time at PC, they will also connect with her. She is wonderful in helping not only to help students maybe secure different internships as part of their program, but also looking at their resume, looking at potential areas of growth. There are lots of times different sessions too that the Career Education Office will hold for our graduate students. And it's a great chance to connect. Maybe you never really connected in your undergrad or working professionally. You're looking to change industries and wondering what might be necessary to highlight all of these different skills that you have learned within your graduate degree. That's going to be a really important opportunity and something that you find at a smaller institution like Providence that has a more personalized approach to our graduate degree programs. So, understanding again that skill development, the benefits of these different advanced degrees. I was mentioning some of the different consulting projects that we have different employers who connect directly with our School of Business. We also have different simulations that students are part of, strategic case studies, internships. All of these are very helpful. Give you real life practical experience, and a lot of the faculty too. They are experts within their field. They are sought after speakers, and they are published. Many have a extensive professional career before they begin working with our students on campus. So they're a very helpful resource to our graduate students. That's also one of the things that, again, you want to think about when you're considering a graduate degree program. What are going to be the benefits of that classroom environment, the different community members, the depth of the work that you'll be doing within the classroom, whether it be different group work, or having the ability to get your hands involved in different consulting projects like what we offer at PC, or having some real life experiences with internships. Again, building that network, building that understanding, and that skill development is a major part of the graduate programs at Providence College.
Okay. Awesome.
Terrific.
Hmm.
And
Um,
so,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Daniela.
Oh, okay. Okay, so here we did want to bring up a few things to consider. So we've kind of given you all the good stuff, but now we want to kind of talk about fitting these degrees into your life, cost, things like that. So, obviously we want you to consider your career goals. So, think about how this degree will specifically apply to your career. Is it something that's applicable? And if so, how? So this is one of those things where you may need to talk to someone, you may need to reach out to someone who's doing the kind of work you want to be doing and kind of talk to them. But always just making sure that you have some clarity about where you're going and how you hope to use your graduate degree. It's always good. Cost, there's always going to be a cost associated with an advanced degree. And I kind of said, even if you're getting financial assistance, which is great, you should consider the cost of these programs and kind of weigh it against the return on investment for your future and for your life, right? So a lot of times you kind of see, oh man, there's a cost associated with this. Sometimes you're like, this looks like a lot, but then you think about your earning potential and all of the benefits that come with that. And, we see time and time again that the return on investment for advanced business degrees are really high. As we talked about, usually they come with some sort of like salary boost and even helps you get a job, right? Like sometimes these degrees literally will help you get a job. So that's something to think about, kind of weighing the cost against the return on investment that you get. And then time. So if, for example, if you have a family or if you're a working professional currently, which is great, just kind of thinking about how to fit these degrees into your life in a way that's manageable and what that's going to mean for you. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, I think, in the next slide. But, for MBA, for example, we have a few different options. We have some part-time options, some full-time options. Like the sports administration degree is an online degree, so kind of taking those things into consideration and figuring out, okay, how is the course load and the assignments and the internships going to fit into my life if I am a working professional or if I do have a family.
Exactly. And lots of times too, for folks, to understanding what, again, Daniela mentioned, understanding that investment that you're making in money, in time, but then also what is that return going to be? But based upon your career goals, your earning potential, and how is this going to enhance not only your career, how is it going to balance your family priorities and maybe personal priorities. So these are all really big considerations that we encourage students to sit down and think about as they are looking at different graduate degree programs and specifically to understanding what's going to be the best program for them to be part of. Excellent. And so, as Daniela was mentioning, we have our different programs, and we have MBA offerings, and then we have and with the MBA program, we like to categorize the MBA as a generalist degree, meaning that when students are completing an MBA, they're going to gain a lot of exposure and experience within different business disciplines. So they'll have some different ways of looking at different finance, accounting, marketing management courses that are part of their program. But within that, they do get a broader understanding of the business field. With our specialist degree programs, the MS in Business Analytics, the MS in Sports Administration, the courses are much more focused on that field. For instance, with business analytics, students are working very closely with data analytics and quantitative programs. So within that, the MS in Sports Administration, very similar in that students are looking at different aspects of that sports industry and courses that correspond directly with that. So both programs too within those specialist programs are taught in cohort models. MBA, you will see there are some different cohorts, particularly the accounting cohort. You will see a lot of students right after college. It's a type of 4+1 program, and it's specifically geared towards accounting students. And all of the accounting students are grouped together in a cohort, and these courses do help them prepare for the CPA exam. There are still plenty of accounting majors who are part of the 4+1 MBA program, but they don't have the benefit of being in a cohort with just accounting students. So that 4+1 MBA program for PC students, that program, again, students are going right from undergrad into a 1-year MBA program. So they basically what's happening is they are meeting all of the particular prerequisites with their business degree and moving into an accelerated 1-year MBA program. A lot of students too who have attended other AACSB accredited schools and completed a business major within that accredited business school, they are able to apply to either that 4+1 or accounting cohort. So if you are a student who has attended another AACSB institution and completed a business major, you are able to apply to either the 4+1 or the accounting cohort. For students who are PC undergrads, if they apply in their junior year or fall of their senior year, they are actually able to take a class, an MBA class, during their junior or senior year. I'm sorry, during their senior year. So that is something just to keep in mind for PC students. And then too, for students who are are looking again for that that generalist business program, there's a full-time MBA program, a part-time MBA program. With these full-time and part-time MBA programs, obviously they're not taught at that accelerated pace, but within that there may be prerequisites that the student may complete as part of their program. With full-time students, they are taking 3 or more classes per term. With part-time students, they may take 1 to 2 classes per term. Just to go back actually to the different specialist degrees, I do want to make sure folks understand with those 2 specialist programs, just to be aware, you will see with those specialist degree programs, the MS in Business Analytics and the Online Sports Administration programs, students who generally apply to those programs, not all will have a business background or a business degree. We see some students who apply as communications majors, or maybe they have done a journalism major, and I'm speaking to the sports administration program in general. For the MS in Business Analytics program, you see students who might be health policy and management majors. They may have been math or computer science majors, economics majors. So they may not just be business majors who apply to those different programs. And any student can apply to our different graduate business programs. There may be some different prerequisites that they will have to take as part of their program, but students will be aware of that within the application process, and then certainly within their admission process. Once they have been accepted, there will be a whole review of what courses they've completed through their undergraduate degree versus what they will need to complete as prerequisites and what is needed within their degree program. One thing to note, we do have certificate programs at PC, and these certificate programs can be combined with an MBA program, or they can be completed part-time individually. So each of those certificate programs, as you can see, they're 3 courses each, and with that, students have part-time status. One thing that we did just want to note as well, you'll see some programs, again, that are full-time programs. If a student is taking a full-time program and they've been accepted into a full-time program, they do have the ability to apply to a graduate assistantship. And we'll be explaining more about that in upcoming information sessions, but we did want to make students aware. With a graduate assistantship, there is tuition remission, and with that, a stipend that is granted to students. They are expected to work 20 hours a week, and within that, there are different positions that students are able to apply for. Terrific.
Awesome. Could you take a look at the Q&A? I think we had a question,
Sure.
but I couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll pull that up. So this is actually a great time to answer this question. If I wanted to do a 4+1 program, does that mean I need to begin taking my classes for it going into my senior year? No, if you are a business major, you need to complete your undergraduate business major, and then you would need to apply to that 4+1 program. So what that means is if you are a junior or senior, you can apply to a 4+1 program. Once you're accepted, then you'll be notified whether or not you can begin taking those courses. So a student is not going to take MBA classes as an undergraduate student without being admitted to a 4+1 program. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, please let us know.
Yep. And then I think one other one came through too.
Yeah, great. And so there was a question about, I'm currently attending an AACSB accredited undergrad program. Can I apply to the 4+1 as a marketing major? Wasn't sure if it was just for accounting. Any student who's completed a business program within an AACSB school can apply to the MBA 4+1. So MBA 4+1 is open to accounting, marketing, management, finance. Those are the four disciplines that we offer within our School of Business. And within that, you'll see students from those disciplines. One thing, a lot of times students will ask, okay, I attended an AACSB institution, but they might have been like a psychology major, which is outside of the School of Business. So it's not accredited through AACSB. In that case, a student wouldn't be able to apply to the 4+1 program. So I hope that helps and makes sense. It does need to be a business major within an AACSB accredited business program. Awesome. Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
So as we were mentioning, and Daniela, you can take this away. We have different application deadlines for our different programs.
yeah, so I think I saw one other question come through, but while before we get to that, just kind of want to go through, we highlighted some deadlines that are coming up. We have a lot of different deadlines here, but we wanted to highlight specifically some of the ones that are upcoming. So October 1st, we have this 4+1 MBA senior entry deadline for summer. And then we also have the accounting cohort October 1 deadline coming up also for summer. Then these two are for our two specialist programs, the MSBA and the MS in Sports Administration, are both coming up for October 15th. And we're calling them the priority round one deadlines. So it's really nice if you kind of already know that you're really interested in business analytics or you're really interested in sports administration to go ahead and try to get those in because you'll get notified earlier, you'll start your process earlier. If you're interested in a graduate assistantship, you can start applying for that earlier. And you'll just get like the entire process just becomes a little smoother. So it's always a good idea to apply early or at least start gathering your materials. And so that is why we have all of these like different rounds. And I think it really does help students just to kind of get the ball rolling on certain things because sometimes transcripts and things like that do take a while.
Exactly. And to with our 4+1 programs, there is an October 1 deadline, both for 4+1 MBA and then accounting cohort. For our 4+1, we also have the February 1 deadline. So the accounting cohort certainly is will nearly be filled. So with that, I always tell students make sure you are submitting your application early, and within that, if there are any questions that come up, we actually have a session next week that we think you will all find really helpful. So it's to help you prepare for your business application. So it's a business application workshop. I encourage you all, feel free to register for this session, start the application, start working on the application, and you can you'll want to make sure when you start that application, you log in, create a graduate business application. You can select MBA and then your particular entry term. So a 4+1, for instance, or if you're looking at the accounting cohort, or if you have selected MSBA or MSSA, you'll be able to select again that fall entry. Within that, as you start filling out the application, and there are questions, we'll be able to answer them all here at the Graduate Business Application Workshop. But we'll just be highlighting some different tips and ideas. As you start going through the application, you may see, obviously, there are going to be 2 recommendation letters that are required. There's an essay. There is also a chance to upload your resume. And then too, if a student does not meet a certain GPA, they are required required to submit a GMAT or GRE score. So you'll want to make sure that you follow the information within the application, but also join us for the application workshop. We'll be happy to explain some of these different questions and get you on your way to submitting that application before those deadlines. Awesome. Do folks have questions? Anything that we can help answer? We realize if some folks can't attend the application workshop, we'd also be happy to help answer some questions about the application in general. So, okay, well, you'll also see, actually, Daniela, can you just go back to that one slide?
Mm-hmm. Which one?
Oh, sorry. The program overview.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. Perfect. So within this, just so folks are aware, again, there with the full-time and part-time MBA programs for spring semester, there is a November 1 deadline. So we realize that some folks may be waiting until one of those November deadlines if they are just applying to the full-time or part-time MBA program. And we'll certainly help answer some of those questions later on. One of the questions, is there a certain GPA for a certificate? So with any student applying to a graduate business program, it's really important to see at least a 3.0 GPA or better. 3.0 GPA is really the lowest that we consider within a student's academic work. Obviously, we are looking to see students' growth throughout their time as an undergraduate degree seeker, and then also if they have graduated and have professional experience, seeing different professional experiences that may cater to their work within that certificate program. Just as you know, that certificate program is a part-time program, so it's only 3 courses. It's one course in the fall, one winter session, and then one spring session. So within that, it is a part-time program. It's usually something that a student will do if they are interested in taking some courses but are not ready to commit to a graduate degree program at the moment. The certificate is actually also something that a lot of students will combine with a full-time MBA program. So they may take the 3 courses throughout their MBA program. So if the student wants to do that, they would need to apply to the full-time MBA program, and they'll be able to add that certificate during their time at Providence. Okay, and then there was a question about our letters of recommendation required for the application. Yes, they are. So we require 2 letters of recommendation for the application. And within that, as you're filling out the application, you will see a chance to indicate 2 recommenders. We strongly recommend at least one of those recommenders is an undergraduate faculty member. So a faculty member you've had in class. If you are a professional, you've been working for quite some time, obviously we would accept letters of recommendation from your employer, but we really need to see at least 2 individuals, preferably one who has had some experience working with you in different capacities, but can speak very specifically to your academic potential. That's why a lot of times students who are submitting recommendation letters. They're asking undergraduate faculty members to write those letters of recommendation. We strongly recommend at least one of those faculty recommendation letters is a business faculty member because that's going to be very helpful. Certainly, you're able to ask other faculty members, but at least one of those faculty members should be a business faculty. And then, and oh, and I also forgot to mention, when you're filling out the application, you'll indicate the person's name and email address and provide all of their contact information. An email is sent directly to that individual, and they will then need to complete the recommendation from that secure email. We cannot accept separate letters of recommendation, so it does need to come directly through that secure email that is sent to the recommender by filling out their information within the application. So we hope that's helpful. It's pretty self-explanatory within the application, but sometimes students aren't quite sure what that recommendation submission will do.
And
Awesome.
give them like 2 weeks or even more
Yes.
sometimes to do those, just because we see this a lot with people kind of filling out the application and then you're kind of in a rush and maybe it's like right near the deadline and then your recommenders like don't get their stuff in and so it's always a good idea. This is another reason why those early deadlines are helpful. Give yourself more time than you need and give your recommenders time as well.
Exactly. Exactly. It's really important. And again, when we say there's a question here about if I gather my recommendations. So when you're gathering those recommendations, you should not be collecting those recommendations yourself. You should be putting the recommender's information into the application, and that shoots off that secure email to the recommender. And there's a form that the recommender fills out, and they can also then upload a separate letter if they wish. But it's really important. It has to come directly through that secure email. And the way they receive that is by the information you input into the application. There's a question about whether or not GMAT scores or GRE scores, if they come after that October 1 deadline, will your application still be reviewed? The application will need the GMAT scores or GRE scores to be reviewed. We ask that students get their test scores in as soon as they're able to. Obviously, with students who are applying, they are expected to have the application, all of the elements of that application, in to us by October 1. If there is an issue, we ask that the student reach out to us. Um, you know, a super delayed test score is going to jeopardize your ability to be reviewed. And if that is the case, there is the chance the student's application may be pushed to another application deadline. So for instance, February 1. One thing, if a student applied last year as a junior and was not accepted, they do need to reapply as a 4+1 senior. So for that October 1 deadline, students' previous applications will not be, if the student, for instance, had an incomplete application, we will not be able to review that application for October 1. The student will need to resubmit that application. So just to be aware, students, if you had started an application last year but never completed it, it will need to be updated and you will need to submit a new application. We hope that's helpful. If there are issues with your GMAT score not getting here by October 1, please email gradschool@providence.edu. Daniela can put that in the chat for everyone. Great. And then there's a question on what does GA eligible mean? So when we note GA eligible, we mean students who are looking to apply for a graduate assistantship. They must be accepted into a full-time program. So the programs that we had noted that were not GA eligible, they were not GA eligible because they were not full-time programs. They were part-time programs. So we hope that clarifies that statement listed on that slide. Great. And then there's the question for certificates. Do you need to take a test? Do you need a recommendation for certificates? So with the certificates, there is no test requirement, and there, I believe actually. Depending upon the certificate, there may be a recommendation requirement. I know each of the certificates does have slightly different requirements, and I apologize, I don't know at this moment which certificate may require recommendations. But within that, there is no test requirement for the certificate programs. There's also no test requirement for the MS in Business Analytics or the MS in Sports Administration. The only testing requirement is for the MBA program. For students who meet a certain GPA and are applying for the MBA program, they do have the chance to fill out information. So there is an ability for that test to be waived, but they do have to meet very specific terms in order for that GMAT test to be waived. So I hope that's helpful for everyone. Great. And what is the GPA to have the GMAT test waived? So if a student has completed coursework and their undergraduate degree will be in a business program from an AACSB school, there is a minimum GPA requirement of a 3.5 or higher. So within that, not a 4.9, it needs to be a 3.5 or higher. And Danielle is actually pulling up a really helpful page on our website that lists all of the different qualifications for that GMAT or GRE waiver. So this is the test waiver page, and she'll also put that in the chat for everyone. Students will also see this when they're filling out the application. They will have the chance to review that information and those particular stipulations when requesting that waiver. Great. And just so students know, if they are not meeting those stipulations, they are expected to either take that GMAT or the GRE exam. So. So there's a question, will not submitting a GMAT make students less competitive for a graduate assistantship? No, and again, so, if we had a student who they met the qualifications, they didn't have to take the GMAT exam, then the student would not need to submit the GMAT exam. If the student is required to submit the GMAT exam, we would expect that they are submitting it. One of the things actually, they wouldn't be able to be reviewed without that GMAT exam if they are required to take it, that if they didn't meet the waiver requirements. So with a student who, if you're kind of wondering whether or not to submit that score, and you're going back and forth as to whether or not it would be helpful. If it's not a requirement, we do not need to review it. That's totally fine. It's not going to impact a graduate assistantship opportunity in any capacity. One thing too, if a student does submit the GMAT exam, there's no minimum GMAT score that we're looking for. We certainly we're looking to see a student is doing well in the exam. Our first and foremost, we're going to be looking to see that the students work within the classroom, within the depth of their curriculum, and then also the work that the information that we're getting from the recommendation letters, their interest in our business programs. That is certainly what we will focus in on throughout that application review. I hope that helps answer that question. But there's no direct impact on a student's ability to apply for graduate assistantships if they are not submitting that GMAT score. Okay, awesome. Any other things, folks?
Yeah, if you guys think of
Welcome.
questions later, let us know. We're always checking the grad school at providence.edu email. So if you think of something later tonight, feel free to email us, and we're always checking that.
Yeah. Yeah, and just if folks, okay, great. Um yeah, perfect. So I think yeah, perfect. We wanted to make sure everything was going through the chat to everybody so they were able to get those web pages. Um And again, that last slide from our grad school at providence.edu, that's going to be the best email to contact us. Any questions, issues, any one of us from our office can jump on that email and assist. So we're happy to help in any capacity. Terrific. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. Thanks for spending it with us tonight.
Thank you. Bye.